Welcome back to this channel, Aspire to Attend English Net. And today we are going to discuss the famous poem of Sarojini Naidu. And the name of the poem is A Rajput's Love Song. So, from the very title, we come to know that this poem is about the song coming out from the passion of a Rajput. So therefore, it is going to be a crucial one. Those who are new in this channel must subscribe and share it to your friends. So now let's have a quick look into the poem. What we see in this poem is that Parvati at her lattice. So at the very beginning of the poem, we see that Parvati is standing at her lattice. Probably he is watching from a very distance to his adorable lover, and then the lover, that means the Rajput, is singing this song. And one thing we must have to remember that Sarojini Naidu's poems are filled with musical cadence and splendor in such a way that sometimes he is given the sobriquet, the Nightingale of India, or Bharat Kokila. Mahatma Gandhi, in fact, gave this sobriquet. So let's begin the poem. Parvati at her lattice. So Parvati is standing at her lattice and watching his adorable beloved, the Rajput. Then Rajput is singing this song in the form of a poem. O love, were you a basil wreath to twine among my tresses? So here, O love, actually, O love indicates his beloved, who is none but Parvati. O love, were you a basil wreath to twine among my tresses? Basil is a name of a tree. We may call Tulsi tree. The Hindu mythology tree, or even in our everyday life we often use this tree. That's name is Tulsi tree. So were you a basil wreath to twine among my tresses? If his beloved be a basil garland and just intertwine around his tresses. Tresses is a certain kind of hair which are hanging from the shoulder. A jeweled clasp of shining gold to bind around my sleeve, or his love may be just like a button like clasp, and which is shining like a gold, and which is just bind around his sleeve. Here, one question may come to your mind that what is sleeve? Actually, if you look into the culture of the Rajput, you must have seen that the Rajputs most often wear dresses which has full sleeve. So here the sleeve indicates this sleeve that has come to his end of the hand. So here says that his love might be just like a clasp of shining gold, and it must bind around his sleeve. O love, were you the curious soul that haunts me, silken raiment? Actually, curious soul is nothing but a certain kind of fruit's fragrance which haunts silken raiment. That means that silken garment. So, the indication is that his love may be just like the fragrance, and this fragrance must be lingering in a in a beautiful silken garment, a bright vermilion tassel in the girdles that I weave. And his love must be like a bright vermilion tassel, and it must be around his girdle. So whenever the Rajput is wearing a girdle and from there hanging some of the loose thread. Actually, here must have to remember the tassel. Tassel is the loose thread of uh, cloth from where some of the beads are hanging, from where some of the glittering beads or some of the glasses are hanging. So the implication that the writer here indicates is that if his love be like a bright vermilion tassel and just hanging around his girdle that the Rajput is wearing now. So the first stanza indicates that the Rajput wants his love to be always surrounding him in such a way that he may always feel the presence of his beloved. O love, were you the scented fan that lies upon my pillow? Then again, the Rajput is addressing his beloved by saying that his love may be just like a scented fan that lies around my pillow, that lies around his pillow. So around the pillow of Rajput there is a fan, and the fan in fact releases some of the scent, and therefore the Rajput feels the presence of the fan along with the scent. The Rajput therefore wants that if his beloved be like a fan from where the fragrance, from where the scents are emanating, then surely he will feel the presence of his beloved. A sandal lamp or silver lamp that burns before my shrine, or the Rajput desires that his love be just like a sandalwood or a silver lamp. Sandalwood is nothing but a lute made of sandalwood, and whenever it is burned, from there comes out some of the fragrance, some of the scent, which are really alluring. And a silver lamp are those lamp which were used in the then time, and from where the lights are coming out, and the lights are really attractive. We may just compare today's candlelight dinner. So the Rajput says that a sandalwood or a silver lamp that burns before my shrine. So in the houses of Rajput, there is a big picture of his, we may call the portrait. There is a portrait, and just beneath the portrait, there always lies a silver lamp and a sandalwood. So this is really the bringing. This is really bringing the idea that the Rajput or the portrait is always getting the fragrance, always getting the light. Here, similarly, the lover, the Rajput, wants to be always uh, loved by his beloved Parvati. Why should I fear the jealous dawn that spreads with cruel laughter? Here, I must have to tell something. Jealous Dawn. Actually, Dawn is not at all jealous, but whenever you are enamoring, whenever you are just making love with his beloved, then those obstacles which creates any kind of hurdle in your love making, then you will feel a certain kind of hatred towards them. You will feel a certain kind of jealousy towards them. So here the idea is that the lover and the beloved are making love in a bedroom, and then the dawn comes, and the lover thinks that dawn appears there in jealousy so that the lover and beloved might be separate from each other. So the line indicates that why should I fear the jealous dawn that spread with cruel laughter? The Rajput is telling that he is not at all afraid of the jealous dawn, because this dawn separates the lover and the beloved. Set veils of separation between your face and me, and whenever there appears the dawn, so the love making process becomes totally stopped. They cannot uh, go through their conjugal love making. So then the speaker says that sad veil. So with the appearance of the jealous dawn, there appears a veil, and this veil separates the lover and the beloved. In fact, this veil is the morality. We all the adult people know that we should not have our sex in open daylight, in the street, or in the road, because we feel a certain kind of shame. We are really ashamed in doing publicly. It is a secret matter. So dawn appears, and therefore the sad veils of separation appears there. That means that there appears a question of morality, and this morality brings them separate, brings the lover and the beloved from each other off. A hast, O wild be ours to the garden of the sunset. Then the speaker, the Rajput, is again addressing that it is now dawn and it is now day. So therefore they are not at all able to go through their sexual intercourse. But the fact is that he is again willing to get his beloved into his breast once again. So therefore the speaker wants that the day must come to an end as soon as possible, and then his beloved will come again to him, and then they will go through their love making process. Oh, wild bee hours to the gardens of the sunset. The speaker saying that wild bees, so that they can go to the garden of the sunset. That means that the bees can go in a house to the west and gather from there some of the honeys, because the day will soon disappear and the night will appear there. Fly, wild parrot, to the orchards of the west. Again, the speaker addresses the wild parrot that the parrots may fly to the orchards of the west. So orchards is nothing but a beautiful garden. So the speaker says that the wild parrot must fly to the orchards to the of the west, and may gather their own food for the night. Come, O tender night, with your sweet consoling darkness. Whenever the speaker is addressing all to host in their all activities in the daylight, then the speaker is also intending, also wishing that the night, the tender night, may come to him as easily as possible with all kinds of its sweet consoling darkness, and bring me my beloved to the shelter of my breast. And whenever the night will appear, and with the approach of the night, there will also appear his beloved in his shelter of his breast. So it means that they will again go through their love making process. They will unite again, and they will, of course, enjoy their conjugal love. Now the speaker, the Rajput, Amar Singh is now on the horseback, and he again feels the presence of his beloved. He says, therefore, O love, were you the hooded hawk upon my hand that flutters? The speaker says that if his beloved be just like a hooded hawk upon his hand that flutters, it means that his beloved must be in close proximity with the narrator, and therefore the narrator will feel the presence of his beloved always. Its collar band of gleaming bells are tinkle as I write. So Rajput here, Amar Singh is saying that his beloved just like be the gleaming bells of the collar band. We all know that most often we use some of the collar band for the census of tiger. Its collar band of gleaming bells are tinkle as I write. So it is a very crucial imagery, and we must have to understand it clearly. Collar band is most often used for the purpose of census of tiger or any some kind of endangered species. So here the speaker, the Rajput, is clearly saying that his beloved will be just like a collar band whenever he will go on riding. Actually, here the speaker is saying that his beloved will be just like a hawk, and around the hawk there will be a collar band, and this band will be gleaming. And whenever the speaker, the Rajput, will go on fighting on a horse, he will always hear the tinkling sound of the hawk. That means that if the hawk is just like the beloved, then surely the speaker, the Rajput, will feel the presence of his beloved all the time around him. O love, were you a turban spray or a floating heron feather? Here again the lover is saying that his beloved be just like a turban spray. So turban is a certain kind of clothes which are spun around our head, and it is most often worn by the Rajputs or by the Punjabis. So the speaker is saying that around the turban, some of the people spray perfume, and therefore they also feel the turban's presence with them. So the speaker is saying that wear your turban spray or floating heron feather, his beloved must be just like a turban spray, because the turban's presence will be felt by the spray. Similarly, the beloved will be spread always by the lover if she remains with him. Or floating heron feather. Floating heron feather means the feather which are coming from a heron and it is actually floating. So that means that whenever the feather is floating upon the water, it does not dip into the water, still it floats on the water, but they are living together, they have a close proximity. Here the lover is also expecting that his beloved will be just like in close proximity, just like the feather and the water. The radiant, swift, unconquered sword that swingeth at my side. And if there appears any kind of danger, any kind of any kind of peril, the radiant, swift, unconquered sword, the sword which is actually unconquered, which is radiant and hard, but which is swift, that may swing it at my side, and then the sword will swing around the Rajput. So that's why the Rajput will be saved. That's why the Rajput will be protected. The speaker is expecting that his beloved will protect him from all kind of danger. O love, wear you a shield against the arrows of my foemen. Again, the Rajput is saying that if his beloved be just like a shield and which protecting him from the arrows of his enemies, an amulet of jade against the perils of the way. An amulet of jade actually it means that a certain kind of magical charm which saves a people from any kind of harm. So the speaker is saying that an amulet of jade against the peril of the way. His beloved must be just like a magical charm and which will save him from any kind of perils on his way of life. So with the passage of time, the lover expects that his beloved will be always with him, and therefore he will save him from all kind of perils in the ways of life. How should the drum beats of the dawn divide me from your bosom, or the union of the midnight be ended with the day? So, if the beloved be just like a magical charm and saving the speaker, saving the Rajput from all kind of perils, like means that they are actually enjoying their life in togetherness. There is not any kind of separation. But therefore, the speaker is raising a question: how should the drum beats of the dawn divide me from your bosom? Whenever we are living together, we means the lover and beloved living together, and the approaching day announces and the and the day is approaching with the drum beats. Then they can never be divided from each other, or the union of the midnight be ended with the day. And whenever the day is approaching, their union of the midnight can never come to an end. So the speaker says that it is not possible that the day will divide them, that the day will end the union of the midnight of the two heart. In any way, the day can never do. Hast, O wild deer, hours to the meadows of the sunset. Again, the Rajput, the speaker, is saying to the wild deers what he is saying: to make haste to the meadows of the sunset. So, in the west, there is enough meadows. So, therefore, the speaker is asking the wild deers to haste, because if the deer does not make any kind of haste, then there is the possibility that the day will come to an end, and as a result, the deer will have no food for the night. Fly, wild stallion, day to the pastures of the west. Again, the speaker is addressing an wild stallion, a certain kind of horse, a swift horse, and ask the stallion to fly fast, to run fast to the pastures of the west. In the west, there are many grasses on the land, so it will be beneficial for the stallion to run there fast for the grasses. Come, O tranquil night, with your soft, consenting darkness. And then the speaker asks the tranquil night to come, to fall as soon as possible with consenting darkness. Consenting darkness means the darkness which has no difference. If you look everywhere, you will find that there is a same balance in the darkness. So therefore, the speaker is addressing the darkness to come and fall on the earth as soon as possible, because it will propitiate the path of uniting the two hearts. The Rajput is saying that bear me to the fragrance of my beloved's breast, the breast of the beloved from where fragrances are coming out, and with the falling of the darkness, the lover will reach to the shelter of his beloved. That means that they will unite once again. So this is the summary of this poem. If you like this poem, don't forget to share and subscribe.